Hello, FlossTube. It's Sunday, May 15th. I am Annette, and welcome to Annette's Acre. This is this week's podcast. We're going to cover what happened in Maynia. I'm also going to talk about a little bit of stash that I got. I'm going to show off a couple of finishes from back in the day. And also, I'm going to do a tag. I'm going to do Megan Wrights, because, right. I just feel a connection. We're going to do the needle and thread tag from Megan Wright, and I'll put a link to that in the comments below or in the description box. So if you want to go see hers and do it yourself, then it's there. So the first thing I want to say is I know I left you in a little bit of suspense last week. Will she or won't she start the chatelaine? I didn't do it. I didn't start it. I have a couple of chatelaines already started that are obviously not part of my Maynia plans at this point because they're just so big and buried in the stash, but that's a side point. And when it came right down to it, I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't pull the bow and get it started. However, I do have a plan. I'm doing pretty well staying on track with the Maynia plans that I have so far and working on the pieces that I have identified. So if I manage to make it through the month without any kind of significant deviations, let's say, I've had a small one, but if I make it through May with significant deviations, I'm actually on vacation the 1st of June. So the reward for completing all of the Maynia work will be to start that chatelaine on June 1st. So that is the plan. I didn't do it. I didn't start it. So I kept working on the nutcrackers. So I'll show you that piece today so you can see where I finally got to. The other thing I wanted to mention is that one of my dear stitching friends and fellow polish addict, Abby, has started her own FlossTube channel, and you can find her on as Abby Bella Stitch. She does absolutely amazing samplers. So, and all of them are like 40 count and silk, and she does them really quickly. So she does amazing work. I'm very excited that she's decided to start sharing that. I've known Abby online for years. We have never met in person, but we do share common groups on Facebook for other interests. In addition to stitching, there's a bit of a nail polish thing. So I'll put a link to her channel below, and you'll be amazed at the work that she does. It's really good. So welcome, Abby. Okay, so let's go. So for whips this week, the plan was I had 3 Maynia. The first was Holy Night Snapshot by Pine Mountain. Well, hold on, back up. Sweetheart Tree. So let's see so here was the nutcracker that I was working on for my son on 30 count platinum Lagana. And here's where we finally ended up. So he has most of his face. He has a little bit of mustache started, and then I kind of ran out of speed because obviously his face is primarily over 1. It was Sunday, it was getting late, it was dark. But still, pretty good for just a couple 3 days. I'm very happy with this from a progress perspective. These little guys are very backstitch heavy, which is why I go ahead and do the backstitch as I go. So he's got his top done, and then his eyes and nose are in there. Just, somebody to look at. He looks kind of odd without any backstitch. So pretty good for a start. So that was Sunday. Monday, got on the plane. And on the plane, I was so excited to start Pine Mountain Holy Night Snapshot. Love this piece. I love Pine Mountain. You cannot see, but directly above me are 12 Pine Mountain pillows, the monthly pillows that they did a couple years ago, and I stitched them all in the months. And they're hanging right over my head. So in a future video, I will show so you can see how they are up there on the display. So anyway, very excited. Pulled this out on the plane because the plane wasn't packed. I had plenty of room. I was so happy. Started looking at the chart, what colors I needed, and realized that I hadn't brought all the colors. I was very excited that I had all of the overdyed threads, right? Because it calls for 2, 4, 6, 8 overdyes in this little guy. Well, it also calls for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 DMC, which I hadn't included, did not put in the envelope. So I got kind of on progress because I just sort of stitched the overdyes, right? So I started on the overdyes, which good thing. I mean, I could do it. So here's what I got. So these guys are overdyes. So I started in the corner. When I got to California, one of the kits that I had in California, the pumpkin passport, had white thread. So I stole a length of white thread so that I could get frames in. And then I basically just kind of jumped around to overdyes where I could find them, and I worked my way over so that I could do the December. So I worked on this on Monday and Tuesday. Not bad, right? Not bad. Wednesday I did start my next piece, which I'll show you in a second. But when we got on the plane to come home on Thursday, that piece wasn't going to work, and I'll explain. So I may have brought this out again. So I kept working on this on the plane on Thursday, and that's where I ended up. That's where I've stitched in this robe and this guy's beard, right? So I've since finished off kitting the DMC, except for one. I actually converted one of them to an overdye. So, and this goes really fast, and I really enjoyed stitching on it. This is this 32 count linen, and it's almost like a pearl linen. It's got a kind of waxy texture, not really waxy, but just a little stiffness, but not too much to be annoying like permanent linen. And the threads are obviously a little rounder, which is a attribute of pearl linen. Is the rounder threads. So really easy to work on. So I suspect the first weekend in June is Phoenix Comic Con, and I usually take a piece with me to work on in the hotel after my work at the show is complete. This will be it. I'll take this one with me because it was very easy to do, and it shouldn't take too much more to get it done. So good progress. I was very happy with that. So the next piece that was on the plan was Michael Powell, Mini Greek. See all this white? This has got a lot of white on white, which is not my favorite thing to do. And that's where I was at when I was on the plane on Thursday, and the flight was full, and I was in a center seat because I get the window going to California, and my husband gets the window coming home. So white on white was not when I was like this, so that's why I pulled up the other one. But still, on Wednesday and then Thursday, and I did pick it up again when I got home on Thursday, and I picked it up on Friday as well. So I still got that center building. I got the center building done, at least the roof for the center building, and then up, and you can't hardly see it, but there's a cross up here in white, and then that's why I did some of the sky. So not bad. I know how these guys go. I actually have a couple of my 2 previous Michael Powell finishes here, and I'll show you in a little bit so you can see other finishes from Michael. So that was good. Very easy to stitch. It's just got to have a decent amount of light. So that one actually might go with me as well for a con. Okay, the last piece for this week is Plum Pudding. And I'll insert a picture of where I started, hopefully right about there, so you can see where we were when I started off, because this is a current whip. And here's where I'm at right now. So, let's see if I can get that. Here we go. Here's where I'm at right now. Since I picked it up, I have finished off this motif, finished this section right here, and we're starting this section right here, I'll also be working on this today, so I'm hoping to finish this section here, and then there's a solid color section down here that I'd like to do. So this will get some more time. This will get some more time today. I love this though. I love this piece. The fabric is 32 count vintage Stormy Clouds Belfast. It's one that's printed. It looks like it's printed on one side. It's just white on the back. So, but it's got the little bit of gray. You can kind of see it there. Overdye pieces on this. So, I would guesstimate that I'm about a quarter of the way through. So, not bad. It goes pretty quick. Okay. So those were everything that I worked on this week. Stuck to my Maynia plan. So we're doing good. I did go back and dig through my blog a little bit. My blog's been out there since like 2002, I think, 2003 or something like that. I found the day that I started Plum Pudding. Yeah, April 21st, 2012. It was part of the birthday stash that I bought in 2012 for my birthday. So, yeah, April 2012. That's not the oldest piece. In fact, this next piece. So this week I have 3 pieces that I'll be working on. My husband and I are not traveling to California for work this week. We're both working remote because my son is graduating from high school on Wednesday. So it's a little difficult. We'd have to go either today or tomorrow, come home on Tuesday, which just doesn't make sense. So we'll be remote this week, which means no airline, no packing today. Yay! No flights, and I can work on some bigger pieces because I don't have to transport them, which is good. So this week is 2 whips and 1 new start. The first whip I started somewhere back in January of 2008. At least that's when I bought the fabric for it. And I know I started it relatively soon thereafter. It is Desiderata by Indigo Rose. So here it is. The fabric is 34 count legacy linen in Devonshire cream. It's the color. It's a beautiful, absolutely beautiful fabric, and it will be great for the cut work. So here's where I'm at so far. So the G is done, the first row of flowers, and then we've started on the words. So I'm really looking forward to starting this again. So I'll be working on this on Monday and Tuesday, the 16th and the 17th this week. Wednesday night is graduation. So I don't expect a whole lot of stitching time on Wednesday, but whatever I do get on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday will be dedicated to Teresa Wensler's 12 Days, number 12, ornament number 12. This is where I started. And here is where we're at. It's a little Mr. Drummer Man. This is on 28 count Monaco. Monaco has thicker threads and a tighter weave, so I prefer it for over 1. When I'm doing 1 over 1, Monaco works really well. So I have 12 pieces, 12 squares cut, ready for ornaments. So hopefully I can finish Mr. Drummer Man, at least the 1 over 1, this week. So that'll be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Next weekend, Saturday and Sunday, is a new start. And this is going to be Clouds Factory's Don't Blink. It's an electronic pattern. There it is. And it will be done on Winter Solstice, hand-dyed fabrics by Stephanie. That's a little... It's tough. It doesn't look too bad. It's not quite that dark, but it's linen, 32 count linen, Winter Solstice. So that'll be fun. So that's the plan for the week. Again, 3 pieces. So we are, at this point, we will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right now we're halfway through. I'm halfway through all my pieces. But it'll be 10. 3, 4, yeah. But this time next week, I'll have 10 pieces out of the 15 worked on. It's going to be amazing. I've started thinking about what comes next, other than the 1st of June being the chatelaine. But how I'm going to kind of keep up on some of these. So many of these pieces, it's very tough for me to put down because I really enjoy working on them, and I really like them finished. But there's a plan, and I'm trying to stick to the plan. So I've kind of started thinking, what does June look like? What does July look like? And it might be a mini, apocalypse where I just kind of start running through the ones I got left. So we'll see. We'll see where it goes. Okay. Next thing I want to show, I have finished Michael Powell pieces before. So this is one of his bookmarks. It's the Greek island bookmark. My husband uses this. So it was done. It wasn't too bad. It is solidly stitched. And then the other piece was out of one of the English cross-stitch magazines. I don't remember which one. But this is his Venetian Bridge, I think. But again, this piece is solidly stitched. And I did it a few years ago because I remember who framed it. And that framer's been out of business for a while. So I love his pieces. I love the colors, and I love how the back stitching just makes it come alive. It's really amazing. Really amazing. So that's my other Michael Powell. This is my only full coverage piece I've ever finished. But I have one. All right. So next, let's go through Megan's tag, the needle and thread tag. Obviously, I've been watching lots of videos, and there's so many tags out there that I would love to do, but this one just seemed to be appropriate to be doing right now. Oh, sorry. All right. First question. What are your favorite needles? Gold-plated or not, long or short? These are my favorite needles. Bowen 28s. I found these, I want to say about 6-7 years ago. I went to the Needlework Festival in Toronto in the fall, and Bowen was there, and they had a booth. And they had needles, and I thought, try them, picked them up, and I have not used anything else since. I love these needles. I will use a 26. I have 26s as well. 28 is my go-to though, because the nice thing about these is that you can use them for beading. In most cases, you don't need a separate beading needle, as well as stitching. The only time I do pick up another needle is if I need to use it for pearl cotton, if I'm using pearl cotton, or like for the counter canvas that uses thicker threads, I'll pick up a 20 or 22 usually. But Bowen is my go-to needle. I don't use gold-plated needles because they very quickly become not gold. I will wear off the finish really fast, so it doesn't do any good to do gold-plated needles. These things, to me, just slide right through fabric. I never have any problem. I've never broken one. I've bent them now and then, but I've never broken one. And they don't tarnish. So that's my needle. How do you store your needles? I have a glass jar, dram jar. I picked this up off of Etsy years ago, as it has a little bit of the Fimo on top of it. But I bought needles in bulk, and here they are. This sits next to my stitching spot. So this has been my needle holder for years and years and years. Now, for travel purposes, I recently found this little guy at Hobby Lobby. It's magnetic, and so this is what I use for the piece. This is what I've been using for the pieces that I'm taking with me on the plane. It comes, obviously, it doesn't fall. It's got a teeny tiny little magnifier. Not sure it would be, difficult to use. And it also has a little bitty, if I can get it out, of course, needle threader built into the case. And it doesn't want to come out. Oh, there it is. Little needle threader. Little needle threader right there. Not that I've used it, but it's there if I need to. So that's the travel one. And then actually in California, I have a tin. I have one of the little needle tins with the slide that I got from Pinoy Stitches. And I can put a link to that Etsy shop below. Do you change floss with each color, or do you use multiple needles? I do not use multiple needles for normal cross stitch. The only time I use multiple needles is, again, for counted canvas. If I'm building a stitch and that requires overlaying multiple colors or multiple threads, then I will do multiple needles just so that I can easily switch back and forth and I'm not constantly rethreading to finish an area of the stitch. But most part, no. One needle, and that's it. And you could see on some of the whips that I had where I still had the needle tacked to the needle minder. I don't necessarily worry about leaving needles in my projects. If I do, I'll pin it. If I just leave the needle in the project, I'll do it up in the selvage. Or I'll just put it behind the needle minder. It's not a big deal. Do you use a thread tamer or wax, or do you go bare? I do have Thread Heaven. I will pull it out when I'm using Kreinik. That's it. Otherwise, I do not use any sort of wax in normal cross stitch. If I have silks that are not behaving for some reason, if they're extra curly or something, I will get a paper towel, or I used to use a dryer sheet. And you could slide the dryer sheet down, or you just run the damp, very lightly damp towel just to get just enough, and that'll usually loosen the curl so that it becomes straighter to stitch with. But that's rare, very rare. Number 5 is bobbins or bags. No, tags. All my DMC, all my specialty flosses. For the specialty, if they come on some sort of tag, like the Gast do, even weeks, I'll use the weeks tag. I don't re-tag them, but all my DMC gets put on a floss tag. I make these myself. I will do another video about how I do this and what I use. Very simple. I usually pull out a couple pages of cardstock and hand them to my son, and I say, hey, I need tags. So he'll punch them for me. And then putting the floss on, this is all pre-cut to about a yard length, which goes into the next question. Do you use long or short lengths of thread? I use about a yard. Obviously, if it's 2/2, then it's a loop start, and so it becomes about an 18-inch working length. If it's a blended needle, the lengths are already the same, and I just use the full yard. Not a big deal. I take them off exactly as I use them. And then, so I'll pull off a 6, a full strand, take whatever individual plies I need out, and then I'll just loop it back on the tag. Makes it very simple. If I have a project with a lot of blended threads, I'll actually use individual tags for each of the blended symbols. So I don't have to constantly pull 2 tags for each, every time I want to make a new blended needle. I'll create one for each blended needle. I'll put the symbol and the combination on it, and then I'll pull a length from each of the component colors and loop it on the tag, and I'm off and running. So this is my floss management right here. And then I put these on a cable ring, which of course I don't have handy, but I'll do another video that talks about how I do the floss tags and how I organize them. So if you're interested, you can watch it. And then number 7, orts. Yay, nay, or what the hey. I keep them, and at the end of the year, I throw them away. I don't do the ornament thing. I don't do the birds because I just don't. I just throw them away at the end of the year. That's all. But I do keep them in a little jar, which I didn't, of course, bring over. So that's Megan's tag. Thank you very much. And then the last section will be the little bit of stash that showed up this week. So if you'd like to see it, awesome. If you don't want to see it, no worries. See you next week when I go on for my next Maynia. So this week didn't have a lot of packages when I got it. Couple though. First thing was Nifty Needle Nannies did books, and I'm a big reader, so I got some books. So we got Sherlock Holmes, Gone with the Wind, one of my very favorite books of all time. The Princess Bride. If you love the movie, you should read the book, because the book is just, it's just the movie so much more. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. And then two of the Harry Potters. Now, there was one right here. This was The Great Gatsby, but that's my daughter's favorite book, so it didn't stay with me very long. The other thing that came in was the companion, the traveling companion for the Dimensions ornament kit that I showed last week. They got separated in their travels. This is why no parent should travel alone. A little Calavera skull. He came in. Amazon. Also, as I mentioned last week, I had ordered the Pattern of the Month from Stony Creek, the free guy. So I got the May edition, and then in addition to that, his Traveling Companions were the 4 charts for last year's Halloween Pattern of the Month. So here's the final piece. So I got all 4 of those charts. Already kind of know what I'm going to do, what's going to travel with the June guy when I order him, but we'll see where that goes. And then the last bit of splurge I had, if you do a lot of online shopping, like I do, there's a site out there called Ebates where if you just start at that site and then go do your shopping, you can actually get a percentage back based on how much you spend on websites that they work with. And there are lots of sites that they work with, really. It's amazing, including Etsy. You can get at least a 1% rebate back on Etsy. Everything that you buy. Etsy, Pennies, Kohl's, tons, hundreds of sites that you can get money back. And so every quarter, they dump money in your PayPal account, essentially. So I got my big fat check, which is what they call it, this month. And so I immediately went to eBay and found something. And eBay is also on the site. So if you do a lot of eBay shopping, you can get a rebate on what you spend there. So these were I got these with my big fat rebate. And these are the 4 Jim Shore Santa kits. So here is St. Nicholas. This is St. Nicholas. And Santa Claus. Miss Kringle. I love Jim Shore. And Father Christmas. So I now have the 4 pieces that were my first Maynia start with the Santa, the reindeer, the snowman, and the Christmas tree. And these 4. I also have the playing card set that he did, and eventually I have to get the snowman. But this will be another 4-on-1, just like I'm doing with the Christmas pieces. These at least go on white, so it'll be a little easier to find and choose the right fabric. So that's all I got for today. About a half an hour, so a little longer. That's fine. I know Mike's gotten a lot of good practice in because I can hear him. That's it for today. I've got a bunch of links that I will put down in the bottom for you. And as always, if there's anything that you want to see or questions, don't hesitate. I try to respond to everything. So far, I think I'm good. But it's Sunday. I don't have to do laundry and I don't have to pack, so I'm going to go stitch. So stitch all the things and have a great week.